look at my hair! Yesterday I published a video describing what ought to be one of the most embarrassing, humiliating and expensive mistake, let's call it a mistake for now, made by a AAA manufacturer. Asus boards were shown to cause catastrophic damages to CPU and motherboards alike when users would set the EXPO profile in the BIOS for their memory. The CPU sock would pull much more than the 1.30 volts they were rated for. And kaboom! Luckily for us, Asus just rolled out the long-awaited BIOS, which does finally address the exploding EXPO/sock thingy, finally capping its draw to 1.30 volt. Not only did Asus release a BIOS replacement, a final BIOS, not a beta, a final BIOS replacement for all of its X670E powered motherboard, but it deleted everything else. This is the only BIOS you have today, so somebody is definitely wanting to turn a page around a very embarrassing event in their lives, and I can definitely understand this. And obviously for you, my dear, beautiful, gorgeous viewers, I did take a bit of a rush. Not very calculated, but rush risk in downloading the BIOS, testing it on my ROG Crosshair X670E Hero, my third of a 7900X3D, and my handy Corsair DDI5 sticks without much more notice. And based on my observations as well as a report of the very first users, the 1415 BIOS is legit. It does successfully address the sock over voltage issue. With the EXPO 1 profile selected in the BIOS, the AM5 CPU socket consistently draws below 1.30 volt. Well, anywhere between 125 to 129 is what I've seen and what is reported, which was the entire issue, if you do remember. Oh, you remember? What does it mean for you? Well, very first thing is you can set back your RAM EXPO profile in the BIOS without having to fear a catastrophic chain reaction. Second, well, it obviously means getting back tons of memory-centric performances which were rightfully yours to start with. And three, knowing that whatever happens to your motherboard, at least regarding this issue, it will be RMA, because Asus have decided just today to change their warranty policy so that to make sure that everybody facing this issue in the past, today and tomorrow will be covered and will be made whole. A very serious step to first reestablish confidence in their fan base, in the consumers communities, and trying to turn this page once and for all and to put a dot to this story. What will take more time to fix is Asus' reputation. In the very beginning of this EXPO-GATE, I want to call it, Asus did upload and release beta BIOSes, which disclaimed that, if used, would void the warranty of users. And I do realize now, after talking with a few of my viewers yesterday night and this morning, that it might not have been as intentional, the voiding warranty shenanigan, as some tech reviewers would want you to believe. When betas are released to the public, usually they come with a disclaimer which says use at your own risk, right? That's pretty standard in the tech industry, and I really start to think that Asus wanted to address this issue as fast as possible, releasing those beta BIOSes, and did not really pay attention to what was attached to them as disclaimers go. Definitely poor wording, poor timing, real world legal consequences for us users benefiting Asus, so that is absolutely unquestionably unforgivable. But as intention goes, I don't think Asus did it on purpose. It was not 100% intentional, and that is really important to reestablish confidence between us and ROG and Asus. And insulting them, calling them words, as some YouTubers did, is a bit too much in my opinion. We always have to remember that there are real people behind those big names, and it was a little bit brutal. I'm never easy, and I tend to also go overboard when I criticize a brand. But in this particular case, I do believe that maybe we should have taken a step back and remember that, yeah, there's real flesh, blood, and bones behind these products. The last remaining question I have regarding this entire adventure is what will be AMD reaction when they receive a bunch of Ryzen 7000 X3D processors who've been burned by their motherboards and then sent back for RMA, replacement or refund. Specifically knowing with, after all this coverage, they know very well that it's not a fault of their own, that it is a fault of the motherboard manufacturers. Something tells me there is plenty to be covered on this. But apart from that, one would be almost tempted to say that everything is well in the most perfect of worlds. Unless, as in every horror movie, when an happy ending shows, a darker one lurks into the darkness. According to WCCF Tech and our dear friend Hassan Mujitaba, Gigabytes is in the very same waters, and their latest BIOS really doesn't fix anything, so something tells me we are not at the end of this just yet.